We'll call this meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. It is a little bit different format than we're typically used to, but it's the same as we done on our meeting back on the 7th. Obviously, I'm in attendance. Magistrate Scott Poston, Magistrate Myron Thurman, Magistrate Marty Chandler, and Magistrate Nathaniel Downey are in attendance. We also have Bob Palmer and Adam Wilshire with the Office of Emergency Management. Maintenance Supervisor Bill Roars, Jailer Eric Vaughn, P&Z Administrator Carter Mundy, Sheriff Jerry Hobson, Fire Chief Leslie Goodrum, and also Nelson Slaughter. We have the County Treasurer Nicole Law, the Fiscal Court Clerk Pam Roars, and the Finance Officer Michelle Henderson are here. I have a couple of callers. We need to unmute the callers for just a minute because one of these callers may be Stephen Kirby. Stephen, are you here?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I've got Stephen Kirby from the Franklin Church of Christ. So I'm going to ask Stephen if he would to lead us in a prayer before we get into the meeting.
Hey, Judge.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for our community, and we thank you so much for what you mean to us. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask and pray that you be with all of these leaders in our community as we are going through some uncertain times. Please be with them as they make decisions and necessary things for our community, and just help them, guide them in their way. We pray especially for all of our first responders and everyone else that is on the front lines during this pandemic. And we just pray that you give their guiding hand over to them. We also pray for our community and family members that are maybe in the hospital dealing with this at home, and especially those that have lost loved ones recently in the last month or so. Just, dear and Father, keep guiding us. Let us turn to you in all the things that we need to do. And just make sure that we follow you in all the things. We thank you for your son that died upon the cross. It's his name we pray. Amen.
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 Stephen, thank you for being here to offer up prayer for us this morning. We really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you, gentlemen. Y'all have a good rest of the day.
All right.
All right, thank you.
All right. So, gentlemen, as we done in the last meeting, it's roll call is a little tough. Now, Pam is sitting in earshot, but y'all have been in the office, so you know how far away her desk is from mine. So as we've done before, the votes will be all in favor, aye, and any opposed. If I don't hear any sounds when I say any opposed, the assumption will be that it is a unanimous vote in favor of any motion. Everyone understand that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So getting into the business, gentlemen, if the information went out on the portal, I think last Friday, so you should have had an opportunity to look over some things. If you had an opportunity to review the minutes of the April 7th regular fiscal court meeting, we just need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved. Second.
All right, so I got a motion by Marty and a second by Myron. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion's unanimous. Next on the agenda is to review and approve an appointment to the Tourism Commission. Valerie Strafe has been a board appointee there, and she has agreed and willing to serve another 3-year term that would expire March 17th of 2023. So I would recommend that we reappoint her, but we need a motion and a second to do so.
What is she with, Mason? I know they had to be with a hotel or a restaurant or something. I didn't know who she was with.
Well, she's with Kentucky Downs.
Oh, okay.
This is just a member at large.
I understand.
Yeah. There are hotel appointees there, and then there's members at large, and then there's one member that the Chamber of Commerce usually makes a selection, and we appoint a member as requested by the chamber. and we're going to have to make that appointment here pretty soon. But I'm still waiting on a confirmation from the chamber for that appointment. But
Okay.
Valerie is just a member at large as selected by the judge and approved by the court.
Okay.
Motion moves.
All right, so we got a motion by Nate,
Second.
second by Myron. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion's unanimous. Next is, we tabled this in our last meeting on the 7th. This is to review and approve the Jail Southern Health Partners Agreement. Obviously, I think you guys got a copy of that agreement. They solicited bids, received 2 responses. One from Medico at $57,000 per month, and then WellPath sent a letter declining the bid. So that's where we're at with that, and it appears that with 3 bids, one declined to bid, and the other was a right smart higher than the Southern Health Partners. I mean, what we would have
on these, the question I have, as like I know there's if we go over the 300 inmates, it's so much per day. Is there anything, we're in a horrible shape right now with the jail, the numbers is there anything that we get any kind of rebate if it doesn't go that many inmates? Like if the number drops as low as it is now?
Eric, you would have to unmute your mic and speak to that.
Okay, Brent's going to address that.
Marty, I think the best thing would be if we approve this, so we lock them in on that rate if the numbers go back up, and then us turn right around this afternoon with your permission and negotiate down for a lower number of inmates. I think we can change the number of hours and things like that and get a much better rate by doing that.
Okay, well, if we approve it, shouldn't we negotiate before we approve it? I mean, it seems like if we approve it, then it's going to be harder to negotiate after we approve it. I don't know. I've never dealt, with asking this. So
we're not been in a situation where we've had to worry about being under 300 inmates for some time.
Exactly.
After looking at that one bid, or lock that rate when we go up, but I'm extremely sure, having dealt in this business long enough, that we can negotiate that down for a lower number of inmates and a lower number of nursing hours and things like that. They'll go along with that. There's no reason for them not to.
All right, so that being the case, then, Brent, let me just ask this question. This contract actually is good till July of 2019.
Right.
If you talk with them and we're able to have the updated numbers at our May 1st meeting, we could approve it and sign it and go forward after that. I mean, right?
Right, and we can probably get them to go immediately with the lower numbers, so we can get some rebate back on what we're doing right now. We don't have to pay that full amount this term.
Okay, well, let's do this then. Let's do this. Let's talk to them about that. Let's get a number negotiated down. But I think what we need to determine today is what threshold do we want to set that number at? Where it's been 300. I know as of last Friday, I think we were at 216 total inmates. I don't know what that number is today. Of course, here's another thing too, and this is all the unknowns, and you guys will hear a lot more about this, and I'll speak to this at the end. But there's going to be a lot of unknowns going forward for this next fiscal year budget, because we don't know how long these jail numbers will stay down. We don't know at what point they'll start going back up. Your assumption is that once the courts open back up, once everything else opens back up, we'll eventually see that increase back to some numbers. I guess none of that's a guarantee, but I guess the here's the question mark in all of this too that we need to think about, because in the 300 number, we paid an additional amount for the inmates over 300. And if we throw out a number of 200 or 225 or 250, and then we start having to pay a premium above that number, and we get back to the 300 or so inmates, that'll be worse on us in the long run.
That, I agree
Follow what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah.
My
So-
question was, is there something that if we bid it at 300 and it only turned out to be 250, is there some kind of reduction we can get in it based off of that? Because I think there's a good possibility those numbers could be back in that 300 range once all this is over with, but it may take 8 months for it to get that way. So that's the reason I was asking, is there some way we could do that?
So that's a good point, Marty. So let's,
100.
hang on. That's a good point, Marty. So let's do this, Brent. You talk with them and get us a number of what they can do, what kind of reduction there'll be below 300. We can have all that together, take a look at that, and have that part negotiated into the contract, and be ready to sign it at the first meeting in May.
I will go. I'm get back before y'all break, so I'll go start talking to them.
Okay. If you can get us information before we get done with the meeting, that'd be great.
Okay.
All right. So we'll table this either till the end of the meeting or till the next meeting then. Okay. Now, on the next item on the agenda is to review and approve the FirstNet Solutions Agreement. This is for emergency management, and I may have to have Bob Palmer speak to this a little bit, but this has to do with the Wi-Fi hotspots as they're out in the rural parts of the county or whatever, and the way that works. I think what we currently have is not working real well, and it starts throttling back. This here would be the same service. It would be $18.30 a month more than the current Wi-Fi service, which is roughly $220 per year. Anyone have a question for that on that?
Yeah, it says quantity of one. Is that for one telephone, or is that for the whole system?
This is for the whole system, like a Wi-Fi hotspot type deal.
Okay, where does it get it from? I mean, so it would be like on each phone, or is it are we just talking about Bob's phone, or are we talking about EMS, fire, sheriff, or what are we talking about here?
I think we're talking about on everyone, but Bob, if you don't mind to comment on that, that would be good.
Okay. Excuse me. This device right here it's one unit. It provides, right this minute, I have one from Bluegrass Cellular that I carry in my truck and I use for backup internet here at the office. If the internet goes down here, when we've got EOC operations going on, this is for one device. The current device only allows for one other connection from another device. This one will allow up to 10 other users to connect to it at one time. It has you can connect a hard line to it. So I could connect it here. If I lose internet here at the courthouse, I can actually connect my desktop computer to it. It's FirstNet is a contractee of AT&T, and they've got a huge contract with the federal government, and that contract requires them, if AT&T's network goes down, if the AT&T FirstNet network goes down, they have 12 hours to get it back up and running. So None of the other services around has that. And this one has unlimited data. So it doesn't.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I guess my question is if it's one unit and it's in your truck and you have an issue at Price's Mill and the sheriff or there's some fire at Price's Mill and the sheriff is needed at Gold City, but how is this going to work for both of, that far away? Is one going to be enough? I guess is my question, because if it's just got one system and you got people scattered out on different parts of the county, do we need more than one? That would be my question.
Yeah, and Marty, part of the answer to that would be, I'm gonna let Bob answer that, but the reality is what this would be replacing is only replacing one right now. The only hotspot device we have like this right now is with the Office of Emergency Management, and I guess it's been that way for some time now.
Yeah, this is just to replace my Bluegrass hotspot that I have. But if we wanted to reach out and get more, we probably can, which might get the price per unit down a little. But this is just to replace the one that I have currently.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I just was questioning, do we need more?
Yeah, and I think the next item on the agenda, Marty, will probably be a discussion that will address some of that concern that you have. But this simply here is to replace the one device that the Emergency Management Office has now that's going to give them better operability and the ability to use it even on a direct connection if we lose internet service here during a storm or emergency. Okay. But there again, it does go with an added cost of about $220 per year. I mean, we'll do away with the one device, but add this device in its place.
Judge, I would have to ask Nicole to confirm this, but I believe the line item for my cell phone would cover this, I think.
On your cell phone, including with the cell phone and the hotspot, it's actually figured to the penny, so we would have to make an adjustment of that $220 to add in.
Okay.
This thing is really screeching bad, but my opinion is if we can do something that helps our emergency personnel handle situations, and I don't have a problem, but we would just need a motion in a second and then any further discussion.
How much currently are we paying, Bob, for that?
Myron, I told you wrong yesterday. My current that we're paying currently is $23.07 a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mason, I'll go ahead and make the motion. So if we get a second, we can continue the discussion on this.
Second.
All right. So we got a motion. Nate, did I hear you say second?
Yes.
Okay. So I got a motion by Marty and a second by Nate. Any other discussion about this Wi-Fi hotspot device? All right, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. All right, I think the next item, Marty, might address one of the questions you had in this one here is this Tango agreement, and it is an app. If you can scroll that part on up. And here, I'll speak to what my limited knowledge is, but I'll let Bob and the sheriff talk more about this because they are the ones that use this equipment day in and day out. Obviously, I think there's been no secret that for the past number of years, there's been some radio communication issues. Obviously, the cost of replacing all of that equipment is pretty costly. This app would allow everyone to be able to communicate regardless where they were at or what was going on. Do y'all want to, and I'm good to do this however you want to do it, but let's let the emergency management director talk a little about it, and then let's hear the sheriff's comment about it, and then we'll take it up from there.
Thank you, Judge. Before I start that,
Bob, if you could mute everyone's mic except ours and yours right now.
Judge, the background noise is coming through Myron's phone.
It's all that electricity running through him.
Yeah, I can move around.
That got quiet. I don't know where you're at, but that got quiet.
I just went outside and sitting in right here on Roby Street, right here in the middle of the street.
But don't get run over. Don't get run over.
I'll go ahead and give an explanation. This Tango Tango is a company that provides the opportunity to put an app on multiple emergency services cell phones that allows the radio system that's attached to it to go through their cell phone, literally turning the carrier, the user's cell phone into a emergency services radio. Where this will come in handy for our agencies, for our county agencies, is the far outreaches of our county, where an officer or a firefighter or a ambulance would have cellular service, but the distance away from our tower here in town is too far to reach the like behind Pilot Knob or down over the hill over towards the east side of the county, and the different dark spots that the radio system has. This would allow anybody that's working out in those reaches, if they are, and even further than that, this for the sheriff's office, for instance, it has the capability of if you have cellular service, this can be utilized anywhere in the world if you have your cellular service up and running. So it just expands our radio system to a further distance, and any other organization such as Warren County is putting this on a channel. They've gone with this, and some of our other regional emergency services partners are looking into this and probably potentially going to go with it. Anybody that has this on their phone has a push to talk capability, similar to what Nextel used to be. So a sheriff's deputy that wanted to talk to another sheriff's deputy and not have to use the radio, they would be able to talk to each other through the app, that kind of stuff. So it's the dashboard allows for GPS tracking of the locale of the phone. So for the sheriff per se, if he's got his dashboard up and he wants to know where, as long as his officers have the phone turned on, have the app turned on their phone, it'll show where they're at. It's not currently automatic location. They'd have to key the mic to activate the system to make sure that everything updates. But I was talking to Beck with Tango Tango earlier this week, and he tells me that the Tango Tango production is moving towards making that a live feature, so that nobody has to do anything. That you can see where the users of these things are, where they're located. So it's a band-aid for our system as far as the entire system, but it gives us interoperability with other counties that we don't have now. It gives us an administration portal so that we can manage and view where they're all at, push to talk, radio integration. It's a really good thing, in my opinion. It's something that we, short of replacing our radio system, I think it's something to look into.
That's not me, guys.
I have no idea who that is.
Bob, do you have all mics muted except ours and who's talking?
Yep, that's correct, sir.
Okay, all right. All right, so let's mute everyone now except us and the sheriff. I'll let the sheriff talk about this Tango and what benefit it might have.
Now.
Yeah, I know Nate's picture went away. Nate, you're still with us, aren't you?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. All right. Well, hit the little video camera and bring your picture back up if you can.
Yeah, I see my picture on my screen.
Okay.
But it's thinking.
There you are.
All right, there you go.
Okay.
All right. So mute everyone except us and the sheriff, Bob. Sheriff?
I'm here.
Okay, do you have anything you would like to add or say about the Tango before we move on?
Yeah, Tango, I had heard about it from Warren County Emergency Management Service. Bob had taken on the task of looking at it. I didn't recommend it to Bob, but I think both of them had got to talking about it at the same time. So Bob and I met. I described it the same way Bob did. It's an excellent Band-Aid for a failing radio system that we have, and that's been going on for 7 years, and at some point a plan has to be made with the radio system. This is a good Band-Aid. There's several features on there that you need to think about that I consider very important that we currently do not have. One of the scariest things in my state police career, and it rolls over into the sheriff's office, is when you lose contact with a unit and you do not know where they're at. Now, 99% of the time, that sets off a chain of events that you gentlemen don't ever see. You know, for the first 4 or 5 minutes of the dispatcher saying 154, no answer, 154, no answer, they start calling supervisors. Supervisors have to make a decision. Are we in a panic? Do we need to get everybody out and go looking? Or do we just, so you kind of roll into that. 99% of the time, they've hit a dead spot. They were tied up on something and just didn't hear the radio. But 1% of the time, it is a unit's lost their car and gone off a bank and had a wreck, unable to answer. I know of a trooper that was killed, and they had no idea where he was at when it happened. So that GPS tracking feature is excellent. Going from what Bob described, going where you can real time see where your units are at any time, that takes care of that problem. Secondly, there are other things we do. Transports, for instance, that's one of the 6 businesses that the sheriff's office runs. When my guys leave Boney or leave the Simpson County area, we no longer have communications with any dispatch. And if something goes bad on that run, they don't have a way to radio. They can try to call, but keep in mind, you're going all the way across the state. You don't necessarily have a number to the local PD, sheriff's office, because you're going from county to county, from city to city. This would enable us to use the phone to call the local state police posts, because we do know where those are, and we would be real time talking to them once we left Simpson County. Also, we currently do not have, and this happens on a routine, regular basis, transports, not only transports, but let's say we're trying to stop somebody on I-65. You go past the 14-mile marker, we're in Warren County, and if it's something serious, remember the guy that killed his wife and chopped her up in Springfield, Tennessee? Well, we're the ones that got the call. This about 2 years ago on I-65. We got behind him. We're able to seal him in. He ended up shooting himself in the head. a standoff out on I-65. But if we'd have gone 3 or 4 more miles up, we'd have been in Warren County, and we wouldn't have had any radio contact other than us going through Post and Post having to tell Warren County Sheriff's Office. This is what Simpson County's saying. This would give us direct contact with agencies if they're on the Tango system. So Warren County is one. Same thing in Logan County, same thing in Allen County. It's not unusual to start a call and we end up over in Logan County, or Logan County end up over here. So a lot of good benefits to it. I'll answer any questions that you might have.
All right, I have one question, and Bob may need to be the one to answer this, but I see it says first year total 7410, but then there's basic activation and setup of $750. Is that a one-time? Is that a one-time fee, Bob, or is that activation fee an annual renewal with the annual cost?
That's set up an activation fee as a one-time fee.
Okay, so going forward, that 7410 would be reduced by $750.
That's correct.
Okay. Well, I will offer my opinion, and then you guys can make a motion if you like. But my opinion is, as you hear the sheriff say, that this has been a situation for the past 7 years. I think if we have the ability for roughly $7,000 a year to get some better, safer, more reliable communication service for the emergency folks, I would think it makes sense to do so until we're in a position that we can actually do something better with our radio equipment. And just knowing and understanding that upgrade to the radio equipment is going to be in that $500,000 range. So if this is something that we can do for the next couple of years or whatever, till we can get to the point that we can do it, I'm in favor of it. But the floor will be open for a motion and a second and any further discussion.
Well, I'm not against this. I'm just, do you think we should wait maybe for our budget? I mean, it's really not in our budget right now to do it, is it?
No. Now, Nicole did send me a message over here that the previous thing we just discussed, it is covered under the emergency management cell phone budget. So that whopping $220 does not have to be transferred. It's there. This 7,400 is not there, and would be something that would have to be plugged into next year's budget. Obviously, there are going to be challenges to next year's budget, but I'm at the point that I'd say if we had to pull $7,000 from reserve just to cover this, to me, we're talking about the safety of our emergency responders, and that's important to me.
I understand that.
I'd like some explain the radio integration, which is 3, and then the way it looks to me, we're going to be able to add 30 phones on this. It says 30 user license.
That's what this is, Marty. That's correct. Each phone is going to have the Tango app, and that the cost of that app is $72 a year per phone. That's what that
okay,
is.
So you're going to put this on, they would have to download this app on their personal phone.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so if one doesn't want to be.
The sheriff's office has their own cell phones, not personal phones.
Okay, all right.
And I'll also add this, that 30 licenses is a dart on a dartboard. If we don't use 30 licenses, the cost of this goes down per however many licenses we don't use. We don't have
that was my other question. We don't have 30 sheriff's deputies, so I'm assuming this is going to take care of fire department and some ambulance service or the EMS. I mean, who all does this cover? It covers 30. Will 30 cover everyone?
Well, it would. If we agree to this, then we'll need to have conversations with the department heads of each of those agencies to determine exactly who would need it. Every EMT and every paramedic is not going to need this. It would go on the cell phone that's in each ambulance. It would be, we'll have to have a conversation with the fire chief to see who he would want to put it on whose phones. And the sheriff would be the same way to determine, what that actual number is. I threw 30 out there just to get the document, but it would go down. The price of this would go down if we don't use all 30.
Bob, but did you tell me yesterday you've had conversations with the sheriff, the ambulance, and the fire department concerning this?
Yes, everybody's on board.
Yeah,
Bob,
Bob.
I've got a question for you. Would the financing for the 911 operations that goes to post for dispatching, where that was increased, would that not cover this, since this would be considered in the radio realm?
If there is an excess in that money, I think it could be used for this. As we're currently budgeted, and you're going to see as we move on down, we're looking to make a possible make a cash transfer pending on some 911 revenue coming in. And as it looks right now in the budget, it'll be the first time in several years that we've not had to pull money from the general fund to shore up the 911. But I don't know how much excess, if any, there will be in this first year going forward. I think we could get to where we will see some excess as we continue to grow and get more water meters, but I'm not sure what that excess is. But yes, the truth of that is, if we get to the point that we're seeing an excess in the 911 revenue, it could absolutely offset the cost of this too. I don't know that we will be at that point in the next fiscal year, but we may get to that point in the following fiscal years, if that makes sense to everyone.
Right, but that money is locked away for radio operations, basically, correct?
Yes, anything 911 has to be specifically used for dispatching services or anything directly related to emergency services. So I don't know that in going into fiscal year 2021, if we will see enough excess in there to cover the cost of this. But I think going forward, another year or two down the road, I think it is possible that there could be enough excess there to cover a $7,000 payment for this service. And I think this would be an allowable service for that 911 revenue.
That's depending on whether KSP goes up on their rates, correct? I mean,
well, this is a broadcast live, but here right now we're not hearing anything about that, and I have no intention of paying any more to KSP until they give me a full accounting of how much cell phone revenue they're getting on our behalf. We've not had that account since 2011,
right.
And you're not going to ask me to give you more money until I get a full accounting of what we're getting in cell phone revenue, because I can guarantee you that number has jumped enormously since 2011.
Well, I agree.
So in essence, I think they've already gotten their increase from us based on cell phone use.
I think so. I agree.
Yeah. So I would not advise the court to sign an agreement until we get a full accounting of cell phone revenues.
Well, what I was alluding to was we can't count on a surplus of money. We don't know that that's going to happen. We just don't know that right now.
I do not think in this next fiscal year there will be a surplus in the 911. I think we will have adequate funds coming from the water meter fee to cover the cost of the 911 operation without having to pull any general fund money. But I do not think there will be a huge surplus in this next fiscal year. But I do feel like that if we have an opportunity to do something that helps connect our emergency workers and can possibly helping their safety. As bad as I would hate to say this, I would even advise if we had to pull $7,000 a year from surplus to make it work, I would not have a problem with it for this particular item right here. But there again, that'll be a motion in a second and a vote by the court. So we'll open the floor for a motion, a second, and any discussion.
I would agree with Scott. I think we probably should put this in a budget. We're going to have some shortfalls in this year's budget. And it's hard to pull money. It's hard to pull money out when it wasn't budgeted.
So are you all want to wait on this till the budget?
I'm good to go. I'm good to go today. I think we can handle it right now. That gets us through a 1-year deal with this. I mean, I can tell you this: the budget picture for next year is not pretty, but I don't think that a $7,000 fix to our communication problem is going to be the dagger in next year's budget.
Is this contract just good for now, or is there a deadline that it has to be approved and voted on?
Nate, I don't know the answer to that.
It would appear that it would be good for a year from whatever day we sign it.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows a start date and an end date here just based on their submission. The start and end date would just be a year from whenever we begin the service.
Well, what kind of percentage of the county?
I mean,
that we can't reach now with our system that we have. I mean, are we able to get 90%? Are we able to get? Anybody know?
Did you hear the question?
Hey, Judge, I'm back on my phone. We lost the internet up here. I just heard a question about what the percentage of the county that's covered. Is that what the question is?
What percentage now?
Yeah, what percentage of the county is currently can we currently access the communication equipment we have now? In other words, what percent?
I don't know that I can put a percentage number to that as far as the radio system itself. When I was visiting with Motorola concerning an 800 system,
area do we lose contact?
Are you there, Judge?
And I think the other issue would be we lose it out now because I think he's lost internet service upstairs. Blunt.
I guess once you leave the county, they do not have radio contact with anyone. Is that right?
Unless we're able to hit post 3, we're able to, my guess in Simpson County, Bob's the expert on that, but I'll chime in since he's kind of out of service here for a few minutes. I know at least 5% of the county, we have problems. It may be as high as 10%. The bigger problem is once you leave Simpson County, and that's a regular ordeal. We get into Logan, Allen, Warren County a lot. That's in police services. Transportation, every day we're leaving the county and we don't have any radio contact. So Warren County, we've got a pretty good signal getting into there. You know, you get up to the 14-mile marker, which is basically the county line on 65. You can still pick up and transmit probably up to about the 18, something like that. But east of the county, we have problems. Pilot Knobs, we have problems. Kentucky Downs out there, there's a low spot. You have problems out in there. So Bob, if he gets back on, might be able to answer better than I can. But yes, out of Simpson County, we have no contact with anybody unless you're able to physically call. But you're not doing it on the radio anymore. You're not talking unit to unit.
Right.
And gentlemen, if y'all all four can hear me, just show me a thumbs up that you can hear what I'm saying right now. Okay. Obviously, there is no doubt that we are going to have a tough time with the budget going into next year. But the $7,000 for this service is not going to be what makes or breaks that budget, and not whatsoever. And I completely agree that we've got to be very careful about not spending money that's not necessary. But I'm of the personal opinion that emergency communication is necessary, and the better we can have that, the better we are. So
I think we all have the, you know, want everybody to be safe and be able to do what we can to help them. But, you know, I'm really not against this. But just, you know, just some questions just to ease my mind, I guess.
Can you hear me, Judge?
Well, yeah, I can hear you. I'm willing to make a motion that we move forward with the Tango agreement. Now, the motion may die due to a lack of a second, but I'll make a motion that we move forward with it. And the floor.
I'm going to second it.
Okay, so Marty's got a second. Any other discussion?
Well, if Bob's back on there, I would kind of like to know the percentage, but if he's not, that's okay.
Bob, are you here?
I'm here. I'm dialed in on my phone.
Okay, the sheriff said that he thought at least 5, if not 10% of the county was hard areas to communicate. Do you happen to know what that percentage might be?
I do not know what that percentage is. I will tell you, in conversation with with Motorola about an 800 digital system, they won't guarantee anything more than 90% on the hit. So I would say probably 10% would probably be a good number that we have trouble with.
Well, if you're telling me that the ambulance is on board and the other fire, the sheriff and everybody, you know, I'll second that motion, Marty.
No, Marty done made the second. I made the motion. Marty made the second.
And Nate left.
Nate, are you still with us?
I'm still with you. Yes,
Okay, here he is.
I got a technical problem. Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll take a vote. All in favor of moving forward with the Tango, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, Myron, is your aye in favor or opposed?
Opposed.
All right, so we got motion carries 4-1. All right, moving on to the next item of business, review and approve the quitclaim deed regarding Loving Chapel Road. I think this may be the only situation that has gone on for the entire 16 months that I've been the judge, and hopefully we can put it to bed today. And that is, we're just gonna, well, let's back up though. I got ahead of myself. I will be glad to make part of my previous motion to authorize the judge executive to sign any documents necessary to enact that contract with Tango. Marty, are you good with amending that to your motion?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Is everyone good with their vote with that amendment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So now back on the quitclaim deed, we would need a motion and a second to authorize the judge to sign this quitclaim deed to this little sliver of land on the west side of Loving Chapel Road. And the quitclaim deed simply states that if the county ever had any right to it, we give it up.
So
We're not,
Second.
I had Marty motion. Myron, was you the second?
Yeah.
All right, so Marty
Yeah.
with the motion, Myron with the second. All in favor, aye?
Ah,
Aye.
Maybe
Okay.
that's over with now.
Yeah, let's hope so. All right. Final item on the, I say any opposed. Did I say that? I don't think we had anybody opposed to that one, did we? I think we're all happy to see that one go away. Finally, acknowledge the receipt of the Simpson County Extension District Board fiscal year 2021 budget. We got that in here before the deadline of them to send it. I don't know exactly what that date was, but we just need a motion and a second to acknowledge that we've received the Extension District's budget.
So moved, Mason.
Motion made.
I have a motion by Myron, a second by Nate. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, so right here, guys, y'all see I have a paper. This was just sent. I don't know how well you can see, but it'll be backwards to you probably. But our current price would be, and I'm hoping that the jailer, this is back on item number 3, the Southern Health Partners. Our current price is $330,183.96 annual. If we drop to 225, we would see a reduction of $17,793.75. So I guess my question, jailer, if you're still on, let me.
Yeah, we're here.
All right. So that's 17,793.75. Divide that by 75 people, it comes up to 237.25 reduction for every person we drop below 300. Is that the way? Would they be willing to do a contract like that, saying that we would enter the contract if we could see a reduction of 237.25 for every inmate we drop below 300? Is that the way that they would?
They wouldn't do that, but if you look farther down there, they're even reducing it further by decreasing the staff. 240.
Mason, can I suggest, being you're the only one that can see these and we're try to discuss this, that we table this to the next meeting and we put that on the portal where we could all look at it. And I mean, I'm not doubting your numbers or Brent's numbers, but I kind of hate voting on something and I'm sitting there trying to write some stuff down, but if I could look at it, I'd feel more comfortable about it.
And I don't disagree with that. And I think as long as we can do this in our first meeting in May, we're still good, because the contract runs through the end of this fiscal year. We just have to renew by June 30th.
Okay. Well, I'm going to move we table this to the next meeting, and that way we can all have the numbers on there. And I hate to vote on this size of a contract amount and everything being just said and not being able for any of us to look at it.
All right, so Marty's got a motion that we table this till our May meeting and we get solid numbers on what we can do here.
Second, Mason.
All right, Myron second. All in favor, aye? Any opposed? Okay. Do we have is the county attorney on here with us? I think I seen him as a caller, but I'm not sure if his mic is on.
If he's caller 2, it's off.
Can we turn caller 2 on, Bob, and see if that's the county attorney?
I'm not seeing him because I've for whatever reason my computer doesn't have access right now.
Yeah, and I can't turn them off and on from my,
There should be a button for him to reach over there and turn it on.
well, but if he's on a phone, how does he do it?
It's down at the bottom.
Okay.
Hang on just a second.
But anyway, while we're trying to figure that out,
You should be able
while
to
we're
put
trying to
star
figure
6
that
to
out,
get
let's
in.
move on to financial business, gentlemen. You had an opportunity to see the portal. This next is to review and approve a cash transfer of $8,600 from the general fund to the 911 fund. This is a transfer request pending the receipt of the city's remittance on the 911. If we get that remittance before this money is due to KSP, we will not have to make this transfer. But if we don't, this transfer would be required before we meet again in May.
Motion moved.
So we got a motion by Nate to authorize the transfer 8,600 from general to 911.
Second.
I think I seen Scott second. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Everyone in favor?
So
Aye.
I guess the question I have is, if that comes in from the city, which I would hope it would come in from the city, will we have a transfer from 911, or how will it show up in our financials at the next meeting? If we put it into the 911 and then it shows up from the city, do we take that back out of 911, put it back into the general, or does that city money go into the 911 fund? I'm just asking how that works.
Yeah, I would think, now Nicole can answer this, but I would think if we have to make this transfer and then we get that city money, we would just take that city money to replace this 8,600 coming out of the general. Yeah, that would be the case. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So any other discussion?
None.
All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Moving on, gentlemen, if you had an opportunity to review the other budget transfers, and these are not cash transfers, just budget transfers. If there's no discussion or no questions, we need a motion and a second to approve those.
So moved, Mason.
Motion moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Myron, a second by Nate. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next is the bills and claims. If you had an opportunity to review the bills and claims, we just need a motion and a second to approve those.
Motion approved.
Got a motion by Nate,
Second.
And I got a
second by
question.
Myron. Any discussion?
I got one.
Okay.
And Nicole may be able to answer this. There was $8,314.50 that was spent on the park fence, come out of capital improvements. Is that coming out of that? Is there still a balance left of that of the money that the county allocated for the park under capital improvements? Did it come out of that? That's my question.
This is Nicole. It did. That will
Okay.
finalize that money. And Harry is aware of that.
Okay, all right. So the balance of that was 200,000. That balance is now zero.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So we got any other discussion?
None.
All right. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving into reports. My report, and I don't know that this takes action. Sam, did you ever figure out how to unmute your phone? At any rate, the sheriff had requested that we place a no overnight parking sign at the Justice Center parking lot, the big county parking lot over there. Evidently, there had been an RV parked there for maybe a few days or whatever, and his thought was that the best case would just be that we not allow any overnight parking other than county vehicles. So it's just his request, and I'll let him explain more if he wants to here. It's just that we place a sign at the Justice Center parking lot that says no overnight parking, kind of in big letters, and then in smaller letters at the bottom, except for county vehicles. And obviously the sheriff would know who the county vehicles are. And then any others would just not be allowed to park overnight there.
Yeah, we had there's a gentleman that lives down on the square in one of those apartments. And this is not geared against him. He's actually not doing anything wrong, but it does cause a problem. He decided to buy an RV, and now he's parked it in the Justice Center parking lot, and it's been over there for a couple of weeks. It's actually taken up 2 spots. But there is no regulation on that lot about how long you can stay there. I'd like to see it just overnight, no overnight parking, and we could put something about if you want to check in. Sometimes there may be an event where somebody needs to stay there for a few days, and that's okay as long as we know about it and we check off on it. I don't think any of us are going to rush over there and tow the first vehicle we see off. But when there's one that's been there for several days, that causes problems. So I think we should do an overnight parking unless confirmed by. Unless authorized by a county official. That means if one of y'all call and say your constituents said they've got a car there that's broken down, they're gonna get it off in 2 days, that's fine with us, but you can't live in an apartment downtown and buy an RV and just decide you're gonna park it in the county's parking lot and just leave it there.
Yeah, I think if we do an authorization, Sheriff, I think it's better if we just do no overnight parking unless authorized by Sheriff's Office. Because you guys will be the ones working all night. We won't know. And me personally, I'm not going to authorize anyone to park there overnight unless I talk to you anyway.
I agree.
I don't really mind anybody parking there overnight, but I don't think they should use it for storage like the same as this individual's doing.
Well, that's the problem that brought this out. It's not really if somebody left their car there for a night. It's when we look and see a car's there for a couple of weeks and you're like, what's going on? And you start checking on it and you find out, hey, I'm living down on the square. Now I've bought an RV. So Justice parking lot's a big parking lot. I'll just pull it in there. And eventually that will cause problems.
Yeah, because there's some individuals that's got businesses that rent places to store stuff like that, so they can rent that.
Yeah. So in other words, really, it's not something that you guys, if you see a car there overnight, it's not like you're going to go put a citation on their window. You just want to be able to kind of police it if a vehicle ends up being there for 3 or 4 days in a row or something of that nature.
That's exact.
So, but without it being posted, though, they really don't have the authorization to even look into it if it stays there for a week or 2.
Well, like on that one, we checked into it, and that's the answer, but we have no protocol to have him remove it because right now there are no limitations on the lot that are posted. So he's parked legally.
Yeah. So if we do this, we probably need a sign at each end of the parking lot.
Yeah, I think there's 3 entrances to the parking lot. We need 3 signs put up.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts to that?
Judge, it's kind of like we did out there at the flat bridge where we built the parking lot. Obviously, there's no trouble with people parking there to go kayaking, but by putting a sign in saying no overnight parking or no parking here after a certain hour, that gives us the ability that if we need to do something that we can, but we can use common sense in it to work with people.
Sam, are you on here, Sam?
I don't know, am I?
I hear you. So my question is this a situation that requires a motion and a second and a vote, or do we have the ability to just put signs? I mean, do we need to? I mean, either way, whatever we need to do.
Are you sure? I've been talking to myself for about 30 minutes now. Are you sure? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You just asked us if we were sure we could hear you.
All right, that's fine. I'm just saying there are 2 or 3 other things I was wanting to chat about, but that's okay. issue in question is, yes, I think if you're gonna put up signs where you haven't put them up before, wouldn't hurt to cover yourself and have a motion in a second.
Okay, so you've heard the sheriff's request, and I understand his concern. Do have a motion or a second?
Motion moved.
Got a motion by Nate to place the 3 signs at the 3 entrances of the Justice Center parking lot. Anyone second?
Second.
Second by
I
Scott.
would,
Any
this is
discussion?
Bill Ward. I would like to enter into the conversation before we vote finally.
Okay.
Number one, I think we need to have a time set that if we're going to allow somebody to park, we need to have a time set up to do so. Because right now the Justice Center parking lot has been posted since before Christmas. There's 6 signs, 2 at each entry to the Justice Center parking. And we have an SUV that's been sitting in there probably for 3 months. And it definitely was posted before Christmas. And I think the car has been there afterwards. So I think we need to find out, are we going to allow them to park there 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights before we turn it in? And my other question is, those signs, unless we start punching holes in the concrete down there, we're going to have to attach them to the existing telephone poles, which are steel, so they're going to have to be clamped. So, there's an expense in those signs. The signs I put up in the Justice Center had them printed because we had a certain language to be on them. They were around $500. So my other question is, for the line item, I need to know exactly where these are going to come from. And I'm assuming that you all want me to do it. If not, that I'll bow out of the situation, but I took care of those for the Justice Center. So there again, I need to know if that's something you all want me to take care of. And we'll probably have to get permission from the EPD to post signs on the poles.
Yeah, Bill, I would assume you would take care of getting the signs and figuring out the best attachment process for them.
But he does have a good question. If there's one been sitting at the Justice Center for 3 months, that seems like and it's posted. Why is it sitting there that long? If that lot is posted and it's been sitting there that long.
There's a difference in the parking lots over there. Bill, are you referring to the 2 small parking lots are marked? Because I haven't seen anything on the big parking lot that's marked.
I don't know. Bill just said
that are marked are the ones that's designated actually go along with the Justice Center. It'd be the one on the corner of Kentucky and Court, and the one on the corner of Cedar and Court. There's 2 parking lots. They are tagged. There are 2 signs at each entrance. A total of 6 signs that is specific for Justice Center parking only. No overnight, and a picture of a tow truck with a hook to a car that lets them know that it's going to be it's a tow away zone.
Right. I think what the sheriff is requesting is that we put similar signage on the big parking lot. Yeah, I know what you're saying. We've got the small Justice Center parking area that's just to the north of the Justice Center building, and then the smaller parking area that is directly east of the Justice Center building on the corner of Court and East Cedar. But I think what the sheriff's requesting is that we put those signs to the big parking lot, the big county parking lot also.
Yes, that's my request. 2 small parking lots we don't have a problem with because they are marked and you can't get into those. It's the big parking lot that's there. They can be used for other things than the Justice Center, but yes, that's the parking lot.
I don't have any problem with this, but like I say, Bill just said there's been one sitting there for 3 months. You know, why we still have a
Well,
vehicle in a lot that's marked is, I guess.
it's not marked. The parking lot I'm talking about, it's the big parking lot, not the two small parking lots.
Okay, I guess I'm
If you look at the Justice Center where the
I think-
girls park from the county clerk's office or the circuit clerk's
I think-
office, that's protected and it's marked. He's not parked in there. Then there's a small parking lot to the south end. That's marked and it's protected and the RV's not sitting there. But the big lot, the giant lot, that's right there where all the buildings used to be, that's the one that's not marked, and that's where the RV is. It's not that I'm seeing an RV parked where it's not supposed to be and not taking action. It's parked where it's not marked.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure we've already got a motion in a second. Now we're doing a lot of conversation. Just to be clear, the small Justice Center lot to the north of the Justice Center and the small Justice Center lot directly in front of the Justice Center are both marked. But the big parking lot, the big county parking lot, is not marked.
Correct.
Does everyone agree that that's accurate?
Yeah.
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 Okay. Bill, was that your yes? Did I hear you say a yes too?
Yeah, I mean, I understood from the very beginning that it was a big parking lot we're talking about.
Okay.
My only question was, at what point do we enforce them, since the other parking lots that are tagged, that, you know, like I said, I had a vehicle that's been there for months. You know, I just know, I guess kind of doing this so I know what the signage needs to be on the sign.
Well,
but, you know,
the one
on there, I'm just going to put no overnight parking or no 24-hour parking. It all makes a difference if we're going to get into
the ones going into the ones going into the big parking lot need to say no overnight parking unless authorized by the sheriff's office.
Okay.
And then as far as the enforcement part would be, as I guess I'm not going to try to speak for the sheriff, but my assumption would be if they see something that's just evidently amiss there, or if someone from the Justice Center calls and says, hey, there's been a vehicle sitting here for 2 months, can y'all check on it? I think they would check on it.
That would be correct, Judge.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. If there's no other discussion, we'll take a vote. All in favor of placing these 3 signs, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. One other thing that was brought up, I was on a conference call last week with the folks 211 with United Way. Of course, last year we made a contribution to the 211 of $1,500, and I think that was money well spent. I think they do a lot to help the folks in Simpson County. But in this call, I guess they're being overwhelmed and they're asking for a one-time contribution. And I'm doing what I told them I would do and present that to the fiscal court in our meeting today. Their request is for a one-time $10,000 contribution. So I'm gonna lay that at y'all's feet. If there's anyone that's willing to make a motion, we'll do so. If not, we'll move to the rest of my report.
I'd say move on to the rest of your report.
Okay. All right. So obviously you've probably heard already some of the governor laying out some of his plans for reopening everything. He claims and says that the guidelines from the White House have been a 14-day downward trend in confirmed cases. I heard him say yesterday that although we're ramping up testing sites, that would be factored into that. So in other words, I mean, to try to put it in simple math for me to understand, if we've had 1,000 testing sites and we're getting 100 positive cases a day. If we doubled that to 2,000 testing sites, and then we're now getting less than 200 positives a day, I would think that's a downward trend. And that's kind of what he said yesterday, that the increase in testing sites would be factored into that downward trend. I do plan to reach out to the governor after we get done here today. I have a few questions for him, and then we have the conference call at 12:30 today that I'm going to ask a few questions that are more in line to what's really happening here in Simpson County, because it's my hope and my prayer that we start seeing this thing turn around after the 1st of May here. I don't really know any more than that on it. I don't have any more insight than that, but if I find out anything in particular from the governor or in our conference call as it specifically relates to Simpson County, I will keep you guys updated. So with that, we'll move on. Scott, do you have anything?
No, just everybody stay safe. Keep on practicing the social distancing.
All right. Myron, you have anything?
No, I just want to thank our medical workers, and also again like to reiterate on our 2020 census. Please take time to fill that out.
Yeah, very important. Marty, you have anything?
We're supposed to have an ambulance board meeting today, but they decided to postpone it to next month, hoping that this would all be over with. I'm hearing when you speak to the governor today, some of us are hearing the end of May, some are hearing, it could be some are hearing 1st of May, some are hearing 1st of June. The quicker we can get this back opened up, the better off we will be. I think there's enough people doing the social distancing. I think even when things open back up, nothing will be back. If there's going to be a new norm where nothing will be back the way it was, all the way down to the places that we go eat. I don't think people will be sitting as close together. It's just lots of things that will change, and I believe we could get this get these small businesses open back up, and where people can there's a lot of people that it's just affecting their livelihoods so much by not being able to go and have a source of income. So the quicker we can get it opened up, the better off we'll be.
And don't get me wrong here. I don't know that the governor will reply. I've reached out to him a few times, and I have talked with him 2 or 3 times, but I've reached out a couple of times where I didn't get a response. So I mean, that's going to be hit or miss. But my specific question to him is going to be, as I understand, the closures came from the state, and my question to him is going to be, will we get to a point that there will be an allowance that a local government can make some openings without the state authorizing it a statewide opening? I mean, I understand I can't overturn or override the governor's order for the state, but I would think that maybe he would be able to give allowance that a local government can do some things. If he could make that allowance, that helps us have a little more flexibility in what we do here in Simpson County, if that makes sense.
I totally agree. I think those businesses around the square and the other, on Main Street and the other small businesses that are closed could adhere by the same practices that Walmart and Lowe's have a limited number of customers. I think those businesses could be opened up as soon as possible and not be any more dangerous than going to the big box stores.
Well, the danger part of it
be left up to our local governments. I think this board right here should be able to make a decision on what goes on in this county.
Yeah, the danger part of it, as far as the dangerous part of it, that's one of the questions I want to ask to our folks on the conference in the medical community, because obviously they understand the medical side of this way more than any of us do. And Sam may know the answer to this question, or if he's still here where he can talk. But I think if the governor has issued an executive order statewide, I don't know that we can actually override, overrule, or overturn that order unless the governor makes an allowance in that order for the local government to make some of those type decisions. Sam, do you have any insight on that?
You are right. Issues an order, you don't have the authority to override it, absent going to court and filing a lawsuit and, getting a judge to overturn something, a part of it. So unless he amends the order to allow some flexibility by the local, governmental bodies, I think you're stuck, absent going to court. And I'll be blunt with you, by the time you go to court, by the time it gets decided, it's probably going to be a moot point anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't think
any of us. I have no inclination to try to sue anyone. I just think that our situation in Simpson County could be much different than Jefferson County or Fayette County.
I agree completely. That's why I'm saying you might want to.
And that's why I just want to talk to the governor. Yeah, that's why I want to try to talk to the governor and ask, would he kind of make the same concession to the counties that the president has made to the states? The president, I guess the White House outlined some guidelines that they felt like were important for states to reopen, but said it would be left to the governors of those states. I would like to see the governor possibly make that same allowance to local governments, because like I said, what we're facing here is going to be way different than Jefferson County or even Warren County for that matter. But the thing we got to do, and I do believe this, we have to, anything we reopen or whatever we do, we have to do it responsibly. We have to do it on good advice from the medical community, and we have to make sure that we're still trying to safeguard the public as much as possible while we get an economy back open. And quite honestly, and I know all of y'all probably appreciate this, we're dealing with something that really never been dealt with before at the level that we're dealing with it, and we're just trying to figure it out as we go. But if I hear anything or get any information, I will absolutely let you guys know what I hear.
Sounds good.
All right, Nate, you have anything?
Yes, I guess first I'm gonna comment on what you all were just talking about. Like you said, that the president had left up to the governors to do what they want to do at their state, and I strongly feel that the governor is probably going to leave it up to the local government. Because I think some of our neighboring states, their governor have already said that he's going to leave it up to the mayors, I guess, of each city to determine on what they want to do with their city, how much restrictions, that they want to do. So I feel strong that that's probably what our governor is going to do with the state of Kentucky, is leaving up to a local government to decide on how much they want to do things. I think that's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Boys and Girl Club. We had a meeting last night, and then it went good. I think we need to give a praise report out to Jeff Goodnight and the staff, because they're doing a wonderful job down there, because the staff is communicating with the kids real good, because they got an online website for the kids to go to, and if they need help with the homework, they got staff set up to help the kids with the homework and everything. And because that been happening too, Jeff has also said that he has seen an increase in the kids, joining, the Boy and Girl, for assistance. And then I think that's real good, because Jeff, he's been miscommunicating every day between other CEOs of Boy and Girl Club. He's been in conversation with the superintendent. He's doing all that he needs to do to make the Boy and Girl Club much better for our community as a whole. But the staff is really doing a great job down there with the kids. You know, some of them is going in and some of them is working from home. You know, they're mixing it up because they're practicing that safe distance. All right. And also with the part, you know, I think we're gonna probably hear something within hopefully the next day or two, since coming from our superintendent about the public schools. You know, we'll be out for the rest of the year. You know, because I think a lot of the park games and everything, team down there was based on going back to school this year. And I haven't heard anything from any of the presidents of any of the leagues out there yet, but hopefully within the next day or two, something will come down. So we'll finally let the parents know one way or another whether the season is going to end now or whether it's going to continue on. And that's all that I have. And then also, you know, I think Simpson County and Franklin is doing a wonderful job on safe distance. And I also want to thank the first responders and all the frontline people for doing a wonderful job and to continue on doing it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Nate. Sam, you have anything?
Yes, just briefly, I want to give a shout out and a thanks to the school system, to the teachers. They've had a tough row to hoe because they've been trying to do something, the non-traditional instruction, and this is as big a struggle for them as, if not more so than a lot of folks, and they've been doing yeoman's work, and I know it has really upset a lot of folks, parents, kids, and teachers, that they've had to shut down school for the rest of the academic year, and I understand why, but it's still been a tough road to hoe for everybody, and I just want to thank our teachers and our school administration and getting food out to folks, and they need to be congratulated for their efforts.
I agree with that, Sam. All right, Sheriff, are you still here? You have anything you need to share with us?
I don't have anything unless somebody has a question.
No, thank you, Sheriff. Jailer, are you still here? You have anything?
Yes. I just wanted to let everybody know how we are right now, and they're down to about 220. Our state number is about 207. We've let out, or most of you know, we had a layoff, trying to be proactive to stay ahead of this curve, or at least keep up with it. And sad news, I did lay off 8 employees last week. I've got admin in this building, not only working double, but triple duty right now. We have completely shut down the work center, what we call the center, where all our D1s and 2s are at. So we've completely shut that down and got everybody in this building in one area. So difficult situations. We are being proactive. We're trying to keep up the best we can. With that being said, when these numbers pick back up, it's not going to pick up in a good way on the revenue side, but we are going to have these people back in place, employees back in place. It's not going to be popular, but we're going to have to. We're going to have some tough decisions coming up, and I just want everybody to know that we are trying to be proactive right now and stay up with everything.
All right, I don't think the county clerk is on. I didn't see or hear her at all. Bill, do you have anything? Jolene, are you here?
Mason, I do not have anything.
Okay, I don't hear Jolene say anything either. Bob, do you have anything other than the things we've already discussed?
First, I just want to apologize for whatever the problem is with this computer. I don't have access to I can't control the board right now. I'd have to turn my computer off and turn it back on, and I'm afraid we would lose the meeting if I did that. So I need to talk to Bill sometime today. But I guess what my report would be is I just want to encourage everybody to, as already been said, so continue social distancing. That's going to be a big part of keeping everybody safe moving forward, which will help us guard against and assist our vulnerable population and our elderly. Anybody that's been following the reports of the nursing homes that have gotten this, the institutions that have gotten this into an institution, whether it's a jail or a prison or nursing home, whatever the case may be, when it gets in there, it goes wild and it's very devastating. So the vulnerable population, not only inside the nursing homes and places, but in our community, I just ask everybody to continue to help keep them safe. The elderly, check on your elderly, make sure that they've got everything they need. I think everybody probably seen, I believe yesterday, nationwide, Walmart started requiring all of their employees to wear masks. And I would encourage our population, if they have a mask and they go out into public, to wear their mask. That would probably help a lot. If you look at our medical folks, when they go out, that's what they're doing. So that would be a good guide. If you see somebody, doctors and stuff in the public and they're wearing masks, that means I probably should wear a mask. So if you've got one and can wear it, that would be good. And I want to thank everybody who's being proactive to help guard against this. The information that we get is very helpful. Questions, my phone number out there to my office, 586-1800. If anybody needs groceries delivered, we can come pick up your money and your shopping list, and we'll go. And the last thing I've got is the retailers that are still open, the clerks at those businesses, especially the big box stores, Walmart and Lowe's. I'm out there almost every day, and there's a segment of our population that just really isn't good to those people. And they're being told that they can only have one person per household. And it's really difficult on somebody who wasn't hired as security to pull a security job and to be treated the way some of them are. It's disappointing. I think we can do better. And I'm hoping moving forward with our neighbor to the south, Tennessee, opening up when they are, I'm just hoping that everybody can keep a level mind, don't panic, be smart, and we'll get through this. That's all I've got, sir.
All right, and I don't know if you guys seen or not, but Bob has worked, went over above and beyond to help take care of a lot of the issues that we have to deal with. My assumption is he's just doing what an emergency management director is supposed to do, but I will say he's doing an excellent job with it. And I don't know if you guys seen, but what he's talking about is right. We get lots of reports every day of folks going into a store, and when the store worker says, hey, the governor's order says only one member per household, there's some folks that are going to get out of hand or a little ugly with it. So one of the things that Bob done to try to help curtail some of that was get those message boards. I don't know if y'all have seen the message boards, but it's just kind of alerting everyone that, hey, these folks are not trying to be mean to you, the store workers. They're just trying to tell you what the governor has ordered. And we're trying to give them a heads up ahead of time that these are governor's orders. They're not, these store workers didn't just pull this out of their hat and say, this is what we're going to do today. They're just asked to do a tough job. So, but I appreciate all that Bob's done. Bobby, are you on here? Did you have anything? All right, Chief, what about you? I seen you on. Do you have anything?
I don't think anybody want to talk to you right now.
I think everybody's either gone or done, I guess. I don't know. All right. If there's nothing else, no other business, all we need is a motion and a second to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Nate, second by Marty. All in favor, aye? I guess if you're opposed, you can stay on here while everybody else leaves.
Y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right,